The dim lights of the space station flickered as Lena sat silently in the corner, her stomach growling. The aliens around her laughed and feasted, their voices echoing to the cold metal hall. She had not eaten for many days. Her small hands trembled as she tried to hide the pangs of hunger. The air smelled of roasted meats and spicy foods, smells she had never experienced before, and yet it only made her hunger worse. The aliens paid her no mind. They only enjoyed the show of her suffering. She looked down at the floor, her big, glowing eyes full of sadness. Every time the nobles laughed, her heart sank a little more. Lena's species was delicate, not meant to survive long without food. She knew the danger, but she had no power here. The nobles treated her like a toy, something to mock and humiliate. They had no idea that she could understand them, that she felt every cruel glance. Across the hall, cleaning quietly near the shadowed walls, Heijin, a human janitor, watched the scene. He carried a small mop and a bucket, pretending to clean, but really keeping his eyes on Lena. His heart ached as he saw her tiny form shivering and starving while the aliens laughed. He knew he could be caught if he did something, but he could not just stand there and watch her suffer. The nobles continued their feast, tossing pieces of food and drinking strange liquids. Lena's stomach growled again, louder this time, and a few nobles glanced at her with smirks. Lena quickly lowered her head, trying to disappear into the shadows. She had learned quickly that showing weakness only made the aliens enjoy themselves more. She felt alone, and a deep fear settled in her chest. Heijin moved slowly, his mind working on a plan. He could not openly give her food here. It would be too dangerous. But he could try something small, something quiet. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small piece of bread he had saved from his own meal. It was not much, but it might help Lena survive another day. He stepped carefully toward her, making sure none of the nobles saw him. Lena noticed the movement and lifted her head slightly. She blinked at him, unsure she could trust anyone here. Heijin held the bread in his hand and whispered, barely moving his lips, "Come eat with me." Lena's eyes widened. No one had ever spoken to her with kindness in this place. She hesitated, looking around to see if the nobles were watching. They were too absorbed in their own games to notice. Slowly, cautiously, she moved toward Heijin, her small steps careful and quiet. Heijin led her to a small storage room off the main hall. The door was heavy, but he pushed it open and gestured for her to come inside. Lena stepped in, her hands clutching her thin clothes. The room was dark and cramped, but was safe for now. Heijin placed a piece of bread on a small table. "Eat," he said softly. "It's not much, but will help." Lena stared at the bread, then at Heijin. There was a warmth in his eyes that she had never seen from anyone before. Slowly, she took the bread and bit into it. The taste was strange but wonderful. She chewed carefully, savoring every piece. For the first time in days, she felt a small spark of hope. Heijin watched her quietly, making sure the sound of her eating did not reach the hall. He knew it would not take much for the nobles to notice and punish them both. He felt a mix of fear and determination. He had to protect her, no matter what the cost. As Lena ate, she began to speak softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you," she said. "I have not eaten in so long." Heijin smiled faintly. "It's okay. You will be safe here for a little while." They stayed in the room for a few more minutes, sharing silence and small crumbs of bread. Lena felt something she had not felt in a long time, trust. She looked at Heijin and wondered why a human would care for her when everyone else had laughed. She did not understand fully, but she wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, not all humans were like the aliens here. After a while, Heijin checked the hall. The nobles were still busy feasting and laughing, unaware of the small act of kindness that had just occurred. He turned back to Lena and whispered, "You should rest. I will come back with more later." Lena nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest that she had not felt in days. She curled up in a corner of the storage room, her small body still weak from hunger, but her mind a little lighter from the kindness she had received. For the first time, she dared to imagine a future where she might survive. Heijin left the room quietly, returning to his duties as if nothing had happened. But in his heart, he carried a secret hope that this small act of courage and kindness could make a difference. He knew the journey ahead would be dangerous, but he could not ignore Lena's suffering. He had chosen to act, and that choice would change both of their lives. Outside, the aliens continued their laughter and feasting, unaware that their cruelty had been met with a quiet defiance. Lena, small and fragile, had found an unexpected ally in a human janitor. The seed of trust had been planted, and with it, a new story of hope and courage was beginning to grow. As the lights in the hall flickered and the echoes of laughter filled the station, Lena closed her eyes for the first time in days and slept, her small hands clutching crumbs of bread that had brought her comfort. Hey Jean watched from the shadows, knowing that this was only the beginning. The night was quiet, but the promise of tomorrow carried a whisper of change, a human whisper that said, "Come eat with me." The storage room had become a small sanctuary for Lena. Each day, Hey Jean would find ways to bring her food without alerting the alien nobles. He moved quietly through the station, carrying scraps and rations, sometimes hidden in his uniform pockets. Lena had begun to trust him completely, and each time he arrived, a small spark of hope lit her eyes. One morning, Lena woke to find Hey Jean waiting by the door with a small bundle of food. She had grown thinner over the past days, and her delicate frame trembled slightly. Hey Jean offered her a piece of bread and some fruit, the colors bright and fresh even under the dim lights. Lena took the food carefully, savoring each bite, and smiled faintly for the first time in weeks. "Eat slowly," Hey Jean whispered. "You need strength." Lena nodded, feeling the warmth of human kindness in every word. She had seen cruelty from the aliens, but nothing compared to this quiet care. She realized that humans could be different, strong not only in body but in heart. Every morsel she ate restored a little of her spirit, and for the first time, she began to think about surviving. As days passed, Hey Jean and Lena began to share small conversations. Lena, who had only ever known fear, spoke softly about her home planet, the forests and rivers she remembered, and the strange creatures that lived there. Hey Jean told her stories of Earth, of oceans and mountains, and the kindness and courage humans could show even in hard times. The two of them grew closer, their bond forming in silence and shared moments. Lena learned to trust Hey Jean completely, following his directions to hide from the nobles and avoid detection. Hey Jean became more daring, sneaking food and even small comforts like blankets for her fragile body. But danger loomed. The alien nobles began to notice something was different. They saw that Lena looked stronger, her cheeks less hollow, her movements a little steadier. Rumors spread among them, and their laughter began to carry suspicion. Hey Jean knew he could not delay his plan for long. One mistake could endanger both of them. He studied the station carefully, finding small paths and hidden areas where they could move without being seen. He discovered a maintenance shaft that led to quieter corridors, places where the nobles rarely ventured. This became their secret route, a lifeline to move Lena safely from one area to another. One evening, Hey Jean brought Lena to the shaft. The metal walls were cold and narrow, but it was safer than the open halls. Lena clutched his arm, nervous but trusting. "Will they find us?" she asked quietly. "Not if we are careful," Hey Jean said. "We move slowly and quietly. No one will see us." They navigated the corridors together, Hey Jean guiding her with a steady hand. Lena's steps were tentative at first, but as she gained confidence, she moved more swiftly. Each day she grew stronger, not just from the food, but from the courage she saw in Hey Jean. He was a human, small and unarmed, yet fearless in protecting her. One night, as they rested in a hidden alcove, Lena spoke. "Why do you help me?" she asked. "They all hate me. You could ignore me and be safe." Hey Jean looked at her, his eyes calm but determined. "I cannot ignore someone suffering. No one deserves this. Not even you. Not even anyone. We help because it is the right thing." Lena listened, understanding for the first time that bravery was not just about fighting, but about protecting those who could not protect themselves. She felt a warmth in her chest, a hope that had been buried under fear and hunger. Days turned into weeks. The secret routine continued. Hey Jean brought food and shared stories. Lena grew stronger and more confident. She learned to navigate the station using the hidden paths, avoiding the nobles and their cruel games. Each small victory built her courage. But the nobles were clever. They began placing guards in areas they thought were safe, inspecting even hidden corners. Hey Jean realized that staying passive would no longer be enough. They needed a plan to protect Lena permanently, or at least to keep her safe long enough to find a way out. One evening, Hey Jean and Lena sat in the storage room, looking at the stars through a small window. Lena's stomach was full for once, and her eyes sparkled with a little mischief. "Do you think humans are really strong like you say?" she asked. Hey Jean smiled. "We are strong in ways you cannot always see. Strength is not only in our bodies. It is in our hearts, in what we are willing to do for others." Lena nodded, feeling the truth in his words. She wanted to believe it. She wanted to be brave, like Hey Jean. The bond between them had grown into more than just friendship. It was trust, respect, and hope. But danger was never far away. The noble's suspicion was growing, and time was running out. Hey Jean knew they had to act carefully. He began to think of ways to outsmart the nobles, ways to hide Lena more permanently, and to find allies among the few humans scattered across the station. For now, they remained hidden, sharing quiet moments and preparing for the challenges ahead. Every day brought new dangers, but also new opportunities. Lena's trust in Hey Jean grew, and her own courage began to shine. The small acts of kindness, the whispered words, the careful planning. They were building something powerful. A fragile alien girl was beginning to survive and even thrive, thanks to the courage and empathy of one human janitor. As Lena slept that night, Hey Jean watched over her, a silent protector. The station was dangerous, the nobles cruel, but they had each other. And in that quiet room, under the dim flickering lights, hope was alive. They were ready to face whatever would come next. Together, Lena had grown stronger over the weeks. Her small frame no longer trembled as much, and her eyes shone with a quiet determination. Hey Jean noticed the change with relief. The little food he brought had done more than feed her body. It had strengthened her spirit. Each day, she learned more about the humans and about the courage they carried in small, quiet ways. They continued to navigate the station through hidden corridors and maintenance shafts. Lena had begun to move with more confidence, following Hey Jean's careful instructions without hesitation. She had learned how to listen for the patrols, how to step lightly on the metal floors, and when to stay silent. Each success made her braver, but Hey Jean knew the danger was still high. One day, while moving through a narrow maintenance passage, Hey Jean paused and held Lena's hand gently. "We need to talk," he whispered. "I discovered something that could be dangerous." Lena tilted her head. "What is it?" she asked quietly. Hey Jean explained that the alien nobles were planning to use Lena as a bargaining piece in political negotiations. They might sell her or offer her to powerful alien allies for influence. Lena's heart sank. She realized that her small victories and hidden movements were only temporary. Her fate still hung in the hands of those who did not care about her life. "We have to prepare," Hey Jean said. "We cannot let them control you. We need a plan to stay safe, at least until we find a way to escape." Lena nodded, a steely determination forming in her young mind. She had trusted Hey Jean completely, and now she wanted to act. She was not helpless anymore. She had strength in her body and courage in her heart. They began practicing small exercises to build Lena's agility. Hey Jean taught her how to move silently, how to climb small walls, and how to hide in shadows. Lena quickly absorbed his lessons, eager to gain every bit of skill she could. Her species was naturally delicate, but with careful training and guidance, she could now evade most patrols. Their days became a balance of survival and preparation. Hey Jean brought food, shared stories, and taught her about humans' ways of thinking and solving problems. Lena learned about patience, observation, and the power of quiet courage. She began to see that true strength was not just in physical power, but in intelligence, empathy, and bravery. One evening, as they rested in a hidden alcove, Lena asked, "Do you think we can stop them? Can we really be safe?" Hey Jean looked at her, his face serious. "I don't know if we can stop them completely, but we can survive. And surviving is the first step. We will find a way to protect you. You have already shown bravery. Now we must plan carefully." Lena felt a surge of confidence. The fear that had gripped her for so long was slowly being replaced by determination. She had a friend in Hey Jean, someone willing to risk everything to help her. She could face the dangers ahead with him by her side. But the alien nobles were clever. Their suspicion had grown, and they began setting traps and patrolling even the hidden areas. Hey Jean and Lena had to be careful with every step. One mistake could expose them both. Hey Jean devised signals and strategies for communication, using hand gestures and soft taps to warn of approaching danger. Lena learned quickly, adapting to the code and using it to move safely. During one tense night, they heard the nobles' footsteps near their hiding place. Lena froze, remembering the fear she had felt in the early days. Hey Jean's hand on her shoulder reassured her, and she followed his lead. They slipped into a narrow shaft just in time, the nobles passing by without noticing them. Lena felt a rush of triumph. She realized she was no longer just a helpless girl. She was learning to survive, even in this hostile place. Days turned into weeks of careful movement and hidden lessons. Lena's confidence grew, and her mind became sharper. She began to notice patterns in the nobles' behavior and patrol routes. Hey Jean encouraged her observations, teaching her to think ahead, to predict and plan. Lena felt a pride she had never known. She was no longer just a victim. She was a participant in her own survival. One afternoon, while resting in the alcove, Lena spoke softly. "Hey, Jean, I want to help. I want to learn everything. I don't want to be weak anymore." Hey, Jean smiled faintly, proud of her courage. "You are learning fast. We must be careful, but your strength grows every day. Together, we can face what comes." The bond between them deepened. Lena had grown to trust Hey Jean completely, and he had grown to respect her intelligence and determination. She was no longer a fragile alien girl. She was becoming a clever and brave companion, capable of navigating danger and standing up when needed. But the threat of the nobles was always present. Hey Jean knew they could not wait forever. They needed a larger plan, a way to protect Lena from the growing attention of the aliens. He began considering options, thinking of allies among the humans scattered across the station, of secret compartments and escape routes. Each night, Lena lay in a hidden alcove, her small body finally resting comfortably. She dreamed of safety, of a life where she could eat without fear and move without hiding. She thought of Hey Jean's courage and felt inspired. The fear that had once consumed her was slowly replaced by hope. Hey Jean watched her sleep, a silent guardian. The challenges ahead were many, but they had grown stronger together. Each small victory, each lesson learned, had prepared them for the difficult days to come. Lena was no longer helpless, and Hey Jean had found a purpose stronger than cleaning floors and maintaining the station. Together, they had begun a quiet rebellion against cruelty, powered by courage, empathy, and determination. The station remained dangerous. The nobles continued their schemes, but in the hidden alcove, under dim lights and quiet shadows, hope was alive. Lena was learning to fight, to survive, and to trust. Hey Jean knew that their journey was only beginning, and that every step forward would require bravery and intelligence. But for the first time, both of them believed that survival was possible, and that they could face the threats ahead together. The night was quiet, almost too quiet, as Lena and Hey Jean moved to the hidden corridors of the station. Every sound echoed in the metal halls, and they had to step lightly to avoid detection. Lena had grown skilled at moving silently, and Hey Jean watched her with pride. She was no longer a helpless girl. She was learning to navigate danger with intelligence and agility. They reached a small alcove that served as their temporary hiding place. Hey Jean laid out the small amount of food he had brought. Lena took a deep breath, savoring the warmth of safety and the simple comfort of a meal. It was these moments that strengthened her spirit, giving her courage to face the dangers that lay ahead. "Tonight, we try something different," Hey Jean whispered. "We need to show them that we are not powerless." Lena looked at him, her eyes wide but curious. "What do you mean?" she asked. Hey Jean explained that they would make a small act of defiance. Nothing violent, nothing that would put Lena in immediate danger, but something that could disrupt the nobles' control. He had discovered a storage room where the nobles kept important supplies, and he planned to leave subtle signs that Lena was not their helpless captive. The goal was to make the nobles doubt their own authority. They waited until the nobles' patrols were focused elsewhere. Moving quietly, they slipped into the storage area. Lena's hands trembled slightly as she followed Hey Jean, but he guided her calmly, whispering instructions. They left small notes, simple symbols, and subtle rearrangements of supplies that would be noticed by the nobles, but not immediately traced back to them. As they worked, Lena felt a thrill of empowerment. For the first time, she was not just hiding or fleeing. She was taking action. Hey Jean watched her closely, ensuring she remained safe, and she began to understand a quiet courage that defined humans in his stories. Suddenly, a shadow fell across the doorway. One of the nobles, a tall and cruel-looking figure, had returned unexpectedly. Lena froze, her heart pounding. Hey Jean's hand shot out to guide her behind a stack of crates. The noble paused, looking around suspiciously, and Lena held her breath, hoping they would not be seen. The noble's eyes scanned the room, lingering for a long moment on the rearranged supplies and the notes. Lena could see confusion and frustration flicker across the alien's face. They were noticing something, but they had no idea who was responsible. After a tense minute, the noble turned and left, muttering to themselves. Lena exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. She had faced fear and remained silent, following Hey Jean's guidance. In that moment, she felt a surge of pride. She was learning bravery, the kind that did not need weapons or strength, but intelligence, timing, and courage. They retreated to their alcove, hearts still racing. Hey Jean smiled faintly. "You did well," he whispered. "This is the start. Small acts can make a big difference. Lena nodded, her confidence growing. She realized that even a fragile alien girl could influence events, if guided wisely and supported by someone courageous. She had learned that survival was not just about hiding, but also about taking calculated risks and standing up in subtle ways. Over the next few days, they continued their quiet rebellion. Lena became more adept at noticing the nobles' patterns, predicting their movements, and assisting Heijin in planning. Together, they built a network of small victories, leaving the nobles confused and frustrated. Each success bolstered Lena's courage and Heijin's determination to protect her. One night, they rested in their hidden alcove, looking out at the stars through a small window. Lena spoke softly, her voice filled with wonder. "Do you think we can change things here? Can we make them afraid of us, even a little?" Heijin looked at her, his eyes serious. "We can't stop them completely, but we can survive and resist. Every small act chips away at their power. We show them that courage and intelligence can't be ignored." Lena smiled faintly. The thought of defiance filled her with hope. She realized that her fear had been replaced with determination. She wanted to continue, to take part in these quiet acts of rebellion, and to grow stronger each day. But the nobles were not oblivious. They had begun to suspect that someone was aiding Lena. Heijin noticed increased patrols and more scrutiny in areas they once considered safe. It was a warning, a sign that they had to act with even greater care. Heijin began teaching Lena how to move with even more precision, how to hide in plain sight, and how to use the environment to their advantage. Lena absorbed every lesson eagerly, her mind sharp and her body nimble. She was learning the true meaning of human resilience. One evening, they encountered another captive, a small alien child who had witnessed the nobles' cruelty. Lena wanted to help, but Heijin cautioned her. They could not risk exposure yet. Instead, they left a small token of food and a note of encouragement, showing another small act of defiance without revealing themselves. The station remained tense. The nobles' laughter continued in the halls, but it was now mixed with irritation. They were losing control, unable to understand the subtle disruptions that Lena and Heijin had caused. The balance of power was shifting slowly, but it was a shift that gave hope. Lena had changed profoundly. She was no longer the frightened, starving girl who had first sat in the corner. She had learned courage, patience, and intelligence. She had seen the quiet strength of humans and realized that bravery could be expressed in many ways. Heijin had taught her more than survival. He had taught her hope. As they rested in their alcove, Lena held a small piece of bread, savoring the taste and the safety it represented. She looked at Heijin, her eyes filled with gratitude and trust. "Thank you for everything," she whispered. Heijin nodded, a quiet smile on his face. "We are not done yet. There is more to do, but you are stronger now, Lena, and together we can face whatever comes." Outside, the nobles continued their feasting and scheming, unaware that their control was being subtly undermined. Inside, in the hidden alcove, two unlikely allies prepared for challenges ahead. They had discovered that courage, intelligence, and quiet defiance could be as powerful as any weapon. In the stillness of the night, Lena and Heijin rested, ready to continue their struggle. Every act of defiance, every small victory, brought them closer to freedom. And in that moment, hope was alive, growing stronger with each passing day. The station hummed with activity, but Lena and Heijin moved like shadows through the corridors. The nobles had become more suspicious, increasing patrols and inspecting areas more carefully. Every step they took was calculated, every sound measured. Lena had grown confident, but Heijin reminded her to remain cautious. Their mission was no longer only survival. It was to escape and secure freedom. Heijin had devised a plan to reach the docking bay, where a human patrol fleet was rumored to be arriving soon. It was risky, but it offered the best chance for Lena's safety. He shared the plan with Lena in whispers, outlining each step carefully. Lena listened attentively, nodding as she memorized the route and her responsibilities. As night fell, they began their journey. Lena led the way through narrow shafts and maintenance corridors, her small frame slipping easily through tight spaces. Heijin followed closely, keeping a watchful eye on every movement. They avoided patrols and navigated to the labyrinthine station, relying on silent signals and gestures they had perfected over weeks of practice. At one point, a patrol came around a corner unexpectedly. Lena froze, her heart pounding. Heijin quickly pulled her into a shadowed nook. They held their breath as the patrol passed, the footsteps echoing in the metal halls. Lena felt a surge of adrenaline, her confidence strengthened by every successful evasion. Finally, They reached the docking bay. The enormous doors loomed ahead, and Heijin signaled for Lena to stay close. The human patrol fleet was visible through the windows, lights glimmering against the darkness of space. Their hopes surged, knowing they were close to safety. But the nobles had discovered signs of their movements. Alarms began to sound, and the corridors behind them filled with angry voices and heavy footsteps. Lena's heart raced. They had been discovered, and the final escape depended on speed and precision. Heijin guided Lena toward a small service elevator that led to the upper docking platform. The elevator creaked and groaned as they rode upward, every second feeling like an eternity. Lena clutched Heijin's hand tightly, her faith in him unshakable. He had led her through danger countless times, and now their ultimate challenge awaited. The doors opened to the platform. The human patrol fleet's lights cast long shadows, and Lena could see the humans moving carefully, preparing for a potential engagement. Heijin signaled them, and a human officer approached. Recognition flashed in his eyes as he saw Heijin's uniform and Lena's delicate form. Without hesitation, they guided them aboard the fleet ship. Inside the ship, Lena felt a sense of relief she had never known. The food, the safety, the warmth. Everything was a stark contrast to the cold, cruel station. She sat down, taking in the human faces around her, feeling their empathy and calm strength. Heijin stood beside her, his expression serious but satisfied. They had survived. But Lena's journey was not only about survival. The experience had changed her profoundly. She had learned courage, intelligence, and the quiet strength that humans carried in their hearts. The fear and hunger that once consumed her had been replaced by hope and determination. She understood now that bravery could be shown in many ways, and that humans were strong not only in body but in spirit. Heijin spoke softly to her as they prepared to leave the station behind. "We made it, Lena. You are safe now. But remember, courage is always with you. You have it inside." Lena nodded, tears of relief and gratitude forming in her eyes. She had been a fragile girl, but with Heijin's guidance and human courage, she had grown into someone capable of facing fear and adversity. She felt a deep respect and love for the human who had risked everything to help her. As the fleet ship moved away from the station, Lena looked out at the stars. She thought of her home planet, of the forests and rivers she remembered, and of the cruel aliens she had left behind. But she also thought of the humans who had shown her kindness, strength, and hope. She realized that she could carry this courage with her, wherever she went. Heijin watched her quietly, proud of the transformation he had witnessed. The journey had been dangerous, and the odds had been against them, but their determination and intelligence had prevailed. Lena was safe, and her quiet act of bravery had made a difference. In the days that followed, Lena adjusted to life aboard the fleet ship. She learned about humans, about their resilience and empathy, and about the ways they face challenges together. Heijin continued to guide her, teaching her not only about survival, but about trust, courage, and hope. The alien nobles remained behind on the station, their plans disrupted and their authority undermined. Lena's escape, aided by one human's courage, had shown that even the smallest act of kindness and bravery could have far-reaching effects. She had learned that strength came not only from power, but from intelligence, courage, and the willingness to act when others would not. One evening, as Lena looked out at the endless stars, she whispered softly to Heijin, "Thank you for everything. You saved me. You showed me what it means to be brave." Heijin smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You were brave too, Lena. Courage is not just in what you do for others, but in what you do for yourself. Never forget that." Lena nodded, feeling the truth in his words. She had survived cruelty, hunger, and fear, and had emerged stronger and wiser. The experience had changed her forever, and she knew she would carry the lessons of courage, empathy, and intelligence wherever she went. The fleet ship continued its journey through the stars, carrying Lena towards safety and a future filled with hope. She had faced the darkness and survived, guided by the courage of one human who refused to ignore suffering. Their bond, forged in the shadows of a cruel station, had become a testament to the power of humanity. In the quiet moments aboard the ship, Lena allowed herself to dream. She dreamed of freedom, of a world where kindness and bravery were stronger than fear and cruelty. And in her heart, she carried the whisper of hope that had saved her. The human who had said, "Come eat with me." That whisper had changed everything, and it would guide her for the rest of her life. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and Lena knew that with courage, intelligence, and the strength of the human spirit, she could face whatever lay beyond. She was no longer a fragile alien girl. She was a survivor, a brave soul who had learned the true meaning of hope and strength. And Heijin, the human who had guided her, would forever be a symbol of that courage and kindness. Together, they moved forward, leaving the station and its cruelty behind. Lena's journey had begun in fear and hunger, but it ended in hope, courage, and the promise of a future where even the smallest act of kindness could change the universe. The fleet ship traveled through the endless darkness of space, stars streaking past like silver threads. Lena had grown used to the gentle hum of the engines, and she moved with a confidence that she had never known on the cruel station. Her small body was stronger now, nourished and rested, and her mind was sharp from weeks of learning, planning, and surviving. She walked beside Heijin as he checked the controls and coordinated with the fleet. They had left the station far behind, but Lena knew that freedom was more than distance. It was safety, and it was a promise of a future where she would not be hunted or mocked. She looked out at the stars, thinking of the life she could build, and of the humans who had shown her courage and kindness. Her heart felt light, yet alert, ready for anything that might come. Heijin noticed her gaze and smiled. "You are stronger than you think. Lena, these weeks have shown me that bravery is in the small actions as much as the big ones. You have learned to survive, and that is the greatest strength." Lena nodded, remembering the long days of hunger, hiding, and secret movements through the station. She thought of the nobles, their laughter echoing in her memory, and how she had learned to face fear. But she also thought of Heijin and how one small act of kindness, a whisper and a piece of bread, had changed her life forever. The fleet made its way to a human colony on a nearby planet, a safe place where Lena could recover fully and begin learning about human society and ways of life. Heijin guided her through the arrival procedures, making sure she was comfortable and not overwhelmed. She marveled at the bustling activity of the colony, the human families moving with purpose, children laughing, and humans helping each other with calm efficiency. For Lena, this was a new world. She explored carefully, guided by Heijin's hand, absorbing every detail. The smells, the sounds, and the warmth of human life were a stark contrast to the cold, harsh station she had known. She realized that humans were resilient not because of weapons or power, but because of cooperation, empathy, and determination. Every small act mattered, and even the smallest individuals could make a difference. Heijin introduced Lena to a small group of humans who were willing to help her adjust. They offered food, guidance, and patience. Lena's eyes sparkled as she tasted new foods and learned simple tasks that humans took for granted. She felt her body regain strength, her mind sharpening with knowledge, and her spirit healing from the cruelty she had endured. One evening, as Lena sat outside the colony, watching the twin suns set over the horizon, she spoke softly to Heijin. "I never knew humans could be like this. I thought you would be like the nobles, cruel, selfish, and indifferent. But you saved me. You taught me courage, and you showed me kindness." Heijin placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Not all beings are cruel, Lena. Some choose to act with empathy, with intelligence and courage. You have seen the difference. And now you carry that courage with you. You are no longer helpless. You are strong in ways that will serve you for the rest of your life." Lena felt a deep sense of pride. She had survived and grown stronger, not through violence or weapons, but through careful thinking, observation, and trust in someone who cared. She had learned the subtle ways humans fought and lived, and she understood that intelligence, courage, and empathy were just as powerful as any weapon. Over the next few weeks, Lena trained under Heijin's guidance. She learned more about human ways of thinking, problem-solving, and strategy. They practiced moving quietly, analyzing situations, and making decisions based on observation rather than brute force. Lena's agility and cleverness grew, and she began to develop her own methods of survival and defense. One day, Heijin took Lena to a simulation room designed for humans to practice emergency situations. The room was filled with holographic projections of obstacles, dangers, and scenarios. Lena moved through them with precision, her small body quick and alert. Heijin watched her, noting her quick thinking and ability to anticipate danger. "You are ready for anything now," he said. "Not just to survive, but to act, to protect yourself and others. Courage is more than facing fear. It is knowing what to do and having the will to do it." Lena nodded, feeling the truth in his words. She thought back to the station, to the moments of hunger and fear, and realized that every small act of survival had prepared her for this moment. She had grown not only in strength but in understanding. Courage, intelligence, and empathy were tools that she could carry with her always. One quiet night, Lena looked up at the stars and whispered a small thank you to Heijin. He smiled faintly, knowing that she had grown beyond the fragile alien girl he had first found. She was a survivor, a brave soul, and a testament to the power of human kindness and intelligence. As the twin suns rose over the colony, Lena took a deep breath and prepared for the future. She had faced fear, hunger, and cruelty, and emerged stronger. She had learned the value of trust, courage, and empathy, and she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she could face them with strength, intelligence, and the quiet courage she learned from a human who had once whispered, "Come eat with me." Hey Jean stood beside her, watching the horizon. Together, they had faced darkness and emerged into light. Lena's journey was far from over, but she was ready. She had survived, grown, and learned what it meant to be brave. The stars stretched endlessly before her, full of possibilities and hope, and Lena knew that with courage and intelligence, she could face any challenge and create